The Evolution, Sports Talk Television live here nightly. All Bucs report. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about on tonight's show. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. Will you shut up and be quiet? Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here, live from the Deck Bar and Grill in Isla del Sol. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. It's the Sports Web special edition here on Saturday afternoon, the first day of spring, of course, March Madness in full bloom, if you will. And I'm just going to get it started off, guys. Are you excited about March Madness being back again? Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, we've already seen our fair share of upsets. Of course, we're watching right now Florida State 11-2 over UNC Greensboro. Of course, Florida State coming into this tournament at a 4 ranking. You were telling me off air, you kind of felt like they had an opportunity to go far last year. And I tell you right now, this team is inconsistent, but they definitely have the size. We'll get more into that. But, of course, the upsets, Ohio State, we'll talk about that. And then, of course, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the start of free agency. What do you think? 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. So welcome, buddy. How you doing? It's like the old days here on the weekends doing Saturdays.
Brother, yeah, it takes us back. Been doing this for a couple of years.
I know.
Did somebody say Ryan Suckup?
I'm telling you right now, you must be probably, and we talked about it on Wednesday on the over-under with our professional handicapper, Harry the Greek. I think you were probably the most excited, but I think there's a lot of Bucs fans out there once again going, shh. That's something that this team doesn't necessarily have to worry about. And I know what the way Joshua Cole Allen feels about this, but to me, at the end of the day, I don't think he can necessarily overpay for a kicker, especially one that hits 90% of his kicks.
And again, if you're a 7-9, 8-8 team, and you're just trying to get a kicker that's consistent and can take you that final distance, then do it. But when you're a team that won the Lombardi in 2020, 155, and you're making a second run, you've signed most of your free agents, are you going to really let one or two critical, possibly crunch games come down to a loss or a missed kick? You just can't afford to do it.
Yeah, and you made some signings that we kind of didn't talk about here on the Sports Web. Nacho got signed, according to NFL Network. Again, Raheem Roches, but we call him Nacho because we talked to his mother here, Mama Nacho. 2 years, $5 million with 6.5 with 2.25 guaranteed. So does that mean that Sue's going to eventually get signed? Now you feel good about that situation because you got a Villa, you got a Nacho who was a free agent, so you get back a Sue. Maybe not necessarily it's a big-time need to go out and draft at 32, right?
Well, no, but I mean, again, look at the job that Nunez Roches did last year when we lose Vita Vea for 10 weeks. And I mean, basically, we saw it right off of the game. First game out without Vita, we saw the drop off in that production from the interior of that defensive line, being at the 3-4 so predicated upon that inside pressure.
Yeah.
But so in Nunez Roches, if you had to choose, I mean, we've already talked about this. We're not hanging it up on Ndamukong. We just know he's got Twins on the way. And you pointed out Wednesday night again on the over-under that he's usually signs his contracts late. Maybe it was the professor, Johnny Dean, but
right.
That's just that's his forte. So
I feel like that's going to be the next signing here that you're going to have to see. And I think you got to get it signed simply because Sue means so much to this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team. Well, I'll tell you what, that's a new phone right there. Let's go out to Rob, the sports god. You're leading off the sports web. What's on your mind, boss? Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Yours truly, along with Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I was wondering what you and Ray think about the Buffalo Bills signing Mitchell Trubisky.
Oh.
And
what else?
And good luck to Florida State today, Pete.
Well, you don't need luck right now because they're winning 13-4 over UNC Greensboro. But thanks a lot. Appreciate you, Rob. As always, the expedient caller. Anything else, buddy?
They're going to probably have a hard time in the second round, Florida State.
Well, they very well may have a hard time. Of course, Colorado playing Georgetown, coached by Patrick Ewing, which, of course, he used to play for Georgetown with John Thompson. So good stuff, Rob. Appreciate the call.
Okay, thanks a lot, Pete.
Yeah, absolutely. Florida State, definitely. They can't turn over the ball like they did the last game versus Georgia Tech. They have a propensity, Leo word, to turn over the ball. And when you're a college basketball team, as we saw with Ohio State yesterday, their bugaboo was the turnover situation. That cost them. It's just like anything else in sports, especially in football. We talked about the turnover situation with the Bucs reverting with Tom Brady from Jameis Winston. Talk about the same thing in basketball. Don't turn over the ball. Be consistent. And, of course, what Florida State does best, play defense.
And you talked about it in 2020. They were packed and stacked and ready to attack. I wanted to use attack, but I didn't. And then, of course, that was when we lost March Madness in 2020. That was, I think, when the proverbial poo hit the fan and everybody realized just exactly what we were dealing with here as far as a pandemic and everything. But, man, this year, 2021, just getting everything back. Of course, Tampa Bay, we get the American League champions go to the World Series. We get the Stanley Cup champions. The Buccaneers win that Lombardi trophy. And now we're down here at the Deck Bar and Grill on just the first day of spring.
I'll tell you what's beautiful. I'll tell you what's really beautiful is the fact of having this football in front of us, because go ahead and switch that around. What is the thing? You have the football. I mean, what do you have on it first on the very front there?
Well, it's the Buccaneers, and it has the fact that they were 2002 NFC champions. Of course, that's when they go to 37 and beat the Oakland Raiders and get that Lombardi trophy, the first in history of the team.
Right.
And so you and I were talking about this, but first thing we'll do is turn it around, and basically this has got the signatures of the entire 2021 roster. I love the way you pointed out. I think it's down here, Winfield Jr. I mean, that's Antoine Winfield Jr.
That is 2020. All the whole team signed that football right there. Put that right there.
Mr. Tom Brady in the top left-hand corner here.
Love it. So and I'm going to fire the cannons for that right there. I can hear it. The Bucs are still world champions, and they're also still Super Bowl champions, if you will.
Yeah, and just think about the fact that, again, on the other side, I'm going to keep it on the signatures for a minute because it's got the emblem there. But it's right there. It says 2002 NFC champions, 2002 Super Bowl champions. But now you're starting to look at, you think of some of those historic teams, the other teams in the NFL. Now you're going to have the 2020 NFC champion, 2020 Super Bowl champion. And I'd love to see a football someday that's going to have the 2021 NFC South champion, NFC Super Bowl or Super Bowl champions. But you're continuing to add to that legacy. And so that's exactly when we wrap it back to the free agency and getting the whole gang back here for another run.
Absolutely.
And you saying Ndamukong, and I think he's got a lot going on with those Twins just about to come. In fact, I should Google it right now. They may have already been here this morning. God bless him and his beautiful wife, Katya. They're having twins over there in Tampa. But
means a big part to their defense. I mean, that's my whole key is what he means to this defense, the rushing part of it, being number one in the NFL. Again, going back to my uncle, I always love to say these words, those big hosses in the middle, and those big hosses in the middle take the pressure off of the guys on the outside. In fact, they take on those double and triple teams and say whatever you want to about Ndamukong Suh, and I know how Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper, feels about Suh because of what he did to the Chicago Bears for so many years, but that guy still has something left in the tank, and he played at still a pretty high level at that juncture. So I feel like the Bucs have to find a way to bring him back, possibly some news on the running back front. because it looks like Chris Carson doesn't look like he signed with the Seattle Seahawks. So the talk was that Leonard Fournette was possibly going to go to Seattle, consider other offers, possibly the New England Patriots. Does that get him back in the fold? And are you surprised, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, Best of the Bay, Cup of Ray? What do you say that Fournette is in this conversation of coming back? Because I assumed at the beginning of free agency that he would be looking at other offers simply because he wanted to be a bell cow runner.
Right.
And now he may be coming back in the fold for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So essentially the majority of their team, they most likely could have back in the fold.
Yeah, and because don't forget, let's go back 14, 16, 18 months, 2 years ago. Go back to Doug Martin, the muscle hamster. And we're talking about the fact that the running back position, NFL teams were starting to approach it as a plug-and-play type of position. And you're not seeing those Derrick Henry or you're not seeing those Adrian Peterson, those huge contracts. And we get that narrative. But just like we don't see big contracts for the kickers, you can go ahead and place your importance where it lies. I think that Leonard Fournette has a good chance to come back here again because I still say he's 1 year away from maybe landing that last and that biggest contract of his professional career.
Right.
But that being said, after you get through the draft next month, after we get through the NFL draft, you're probably going to have 10 or 15 teams that don't address the running back position and will look at a Leonard Fournette with a little more value.
Yeah, we're about less than a month of the way to the NFL draft, and I know it hasn't necessarily been a priority here. We've been kind of touching upon it because your Tampa Bay Buccaneers are picking at 32, but if you want to talk about the NFL draft, you can. If you want to talk about March Madness, you can. If you want to talk about the start of free agency for your Bucs or around the NFL, 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Live from the Deck Bar and Grill in Isla de Sol. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Best of the Bay, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. Cup of Ray, you got a Cup of Ray coming tomorrow?
Yeah, I got a couple Ray coming tomorrow, but I got to tell you, though, I made the right-hand turn off of 34th Street to come over to Bayway. I know you take the interstate because you're a little further north on
I am. I'm by Countryside Mall.
Countryside Mall.
Which, by the way, quick shout-out to Verizon and Countryside Mall for hooking me up with a 5G phone.
21.
Yes,
Samsung.
an S21 Plus.
Yeah.
So if the sound is better than the Note 9, thank you very much to Inez there at the Verizon store and Countryside Mall. I got $600 off my phone. It's a regular $1,000 phone, so we cut it down to $400. Key point, my bill is cut in half.
Nice.
So basically, here's the thing. I got a new phone. I cut
21.
my bill in half, and I don't have that much to pay on that phone. Again, go and see Onez at Verizon and Countryside Mall and tell them Bucs Report, the Sports Web, and Peter Blake sent you. There you go.
Well, like I was saying, I made the right-hand turn off 34th Street to come over to Bayway, and I swear the moment I made the right-hand turn, I could already smell the grill warming up here at the Deck Bar and Grill.
Did it smell good today?
Oh,
I didn't eat because I had breakfast.
Yes.
But I was like, you know what? I'm going to probably eat later. I'm probably going to sit down because I haven't watched a lot of March Madness. But, you talk about Ohio State coming in, big-time upset there. Purdue goes down, of course. Couple other teams that I'm not mentioning right now. I just haven't gotten a chance because I've been so focused in on free agency and this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team. And look, even I got to admit that I thought that the Bucs were going to sustain some losses. Yeah. And right now they're coming up aces with all the re-signings they've had. Of course, Chris Godwin signs his franchise tag. A lot of people weren't even in favor of that. Shaq getting him back. Gronk getting him back. So, again, the band looks like it's coming back together again.
Yeah.
And it's playing sweet music.
Well, you talk about the fact that you're still busy working on free agency and staying prepared. When your last game is February 7th and you're literally the second to last or the first to last team, but the last two teams to be standing, right, which is 2 weeks further than the other two, which is still 12 weeks more than what the other teams that lost back in December and January. But, now we're already into free agency and then the draft next month. But what a great and we're talking about being out here. There's televisions everywhere. They've literally got basketball games on everywhere I turn. Got Florida State to my right, got the Georgetown game to our left, got the Florida State game on a huge overhead projector screen here. So, you come down here, you got the great food, the great drink. It's right, you got the windows all open. It's a beachy
Plus,
day.
you can get on the Evolution if you want to. Because, again, there's no time limit here. We don't have a pregame show we have planned. I mean, if the following is good, if the calls are good, we'll stay on. If not, we don't want to bug you. We just want to talk sports with you. 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. Let's go out to the webheads here. Read these guys. I can't wait. It says Smilegate. Love the Bucs Report. Love you, man. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons right there. It's so crisp. I love it. Maybe it's a little bit too loud for me. I don't think so. I'm watching my Gators and the tourney. I'll tell you what, let's go out to Harry the Greek, our professional handicapper, Mr. 88%, going up to 89, 90%. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, live from the Deck Bar and Grill. What do you have to say, my friend?
I could have swore someone called my name twice today, and I was like, okay, I thought I heard it the third time, and I was like, I think I got to call in. It's almost like saying Beetlejuice 3 times.
Well,
You almost
dude,
said suck up
first,
there.
we love you, okay, because what you bring and how you're a part of this Bucs Report family. And second of all, you're hella entertaining here because I tell you right now, I know that you've got to be excited about March Madness and what's been going on. Have you been surprised by the upsets? And then on top of that, talking about the Bucs and the start of free agency, man, everything this team seems to touch lately is gold, right?
Oh, first off, let's talk about March Madness. I've had a very, very good March Madness so far. I didn't play the game against Ohio State. I probably would have taken Ohio State. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I thought Ohio State was going to lose, but I did have 2 of the other upsets. And for anybody that's interested, I absolutely love over 150 in Norfolk and Gonzaga. Play the over in that game. Neither one are going to play defense. Neither one of these teams. Even though Gonzaga is such a huge favorite, Gonzaga is going to score 100 on their own.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Gonzaga is the favorite, and they're trying to become Indiana from 1975 to go undefeated and win a national championship. It's been that long. In your opinion, why has it taken a team so long to do that, basically go undefeated during the regular season and win a national championship? Why is that so tough, in your opinion?
It's hard to go undefeated, Peter and Ray, in anything, whether it's football, basketball. I mean, take a look at the mid-'90s with the Chicago Bulls, some arguably the best teams to ever be assembled, and then lose only 9 or 10 games in 1 year in Golden State. It's almost impossible. But to be able to do that in college basketball, that's a hell of a feat. And I'm going to tell you right now, even if they do go undefeated, they're still not going to be Indiana. Okay, they don't play the teams that Indiana did. Okay. Is it really something that's great? Absolutely. But if they do end up running the table and going undefeated, yes, you can put them up with that category, being some of the all-time best teams ever assembled. But that's pretty hard, man. Those Indiana teams were something.
Yeah, 75, 76 Indiana Hoosiers, 32-0. Of course, Bobby Knight, the coach there. If you didn't know, you have Quinn Buckner, of course, who became not only a coach, I believe, but also a broadcaster. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So
and you know what? I'm so happy, as we were talking about on our last show, that the Bucs were able to sign Ryan Suckup. I mean, I know that made 2 people happy. That made Ray Kennedy the best of the Bay, and Ray Kennedy best in the Bay. I'm only kidding.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I thought
Come on,
Ray was gonna jump into the pool because when we saw him come, and because we were taking commercial break.
Well, now time out, guys. I think the Bucs actually wanted to sign Cairo Santos, but he was already signed by who, Mr. Harry the Greek?
The Bears.
I don't think they wanted to sign Santos.
Cairo Santos.
Hold on. I think if the Bucs had a chance to sign Santos, they would have.
Well, he
just set the record in Chicago.
Here's the irony on that too, Harry. Cairo Santos pushes Suckup out of Kansas City, where of course he was Mr. Irrelevant with the Chiefs. Then Ryan Suckup was the kicker that pushed him out of Tennessee with the Titans when he had the injury back in 2019. If Cairo Santos, who was also a former Buccaneer kicker, would have came here and pushed Ryan Suckup out a third time, that would have been just irony. But I am so happy.
No, that would have been hilarious. But you know who's laughing now?
Ryan Suckup?
No, absolutely, because he's making more money.
Hey,
well, of course he's making more money, and
3 years, $12 million.
Right. Yeah.
Chicago, Cairo Santos, 3 years, 9.
I mean, they both won out, and I think there was a lot of Bucs fans who weren't sure about Santos. I mean, he had his kicking difficulties here. I think every kicker had their difficulties here,
which is why you sign a Ryan Suckup.
I know.
Boom.
And
I'm sorry, I cut on you.
Well, no, you're exactly right. That's the reason why you sign a kicker in the first place, so you don't lose close games. And people are, well, you're talking about kickers to start the show. It's really boring. Look, guys, how many Bucs?
Who said that?
Well, I'm just saying there's what some Bucs fans are thinking at the end of the day. But how many games
the Giants game last year
a kicker cost you?
Matt Gay, the Giants game last year. That was like
important.
the biggest narrative to week 8 of the 2019 season was Matt Gay dropping that game against the Giants. And you know how big of a deal a kicker is when they miss a crucial kick and you lose a game, but then how unimportant is a kicker when they win a game or a couple of games. And I told you guys this, and we knew this, guys, as Bucs fans and all our Bucs fans and Bucs Report fans out there, that Ryan Suckup had gained Tom Brady's confidence in the entire team early in the playoff season and carried it through the Super Bowl. There's no way that team could have let this kid get away.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Without question. Ryan Suckup is let me tell you something. If people don't get excited about Ryan Suckup getting signed, you have another thing coming, because you have to be excited. He scored 1/3 of the points of Tampa's offense.
Yes.
And as you guys you made facts that you lose close games when you don't have them.
Absolutely.
I mean, just ask Peter Blake what happens. I mean, they didn't lose that game. All they had to do was just hit one extra point, Ray. I think we know what we're talking about.
I know you were going to go there. I thought you would be the one.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm definitely going to have to get with you in this offseason, as you know, we're betting on basketball, and get your tips, because I'm looking to make a little extra money, and this is the guy right here that you're going to do it with. My professional handicapper,
Harry, what's
Harry
your tip? I'm sorry, Pete. What's your
fine.
tip again for betting baseball again, Harry? You said you don't bet a lot of MLB, but you said always bet what?
Listen, I do bet a lot of MLB, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you bet the Yankees every day, -2 and 300, you're going to lose. Okay? You're going to lose. You cannot bet the favorite every single time. So if you're a beginner, here's a rule of thumb. Bet the home dog. In English, that means bet the home underdog. That means if the Yankees are coming into Tampa and you don't have a very good pitcher on the mound, and they have their ace on the mound and they're -300 and Tampa's +250, let me explain something to you. A lot of times, the home dog is going to win.
Yeah.
Because if you bet the home dog all the time, you will win at the end of the year.
There you go.
Nice.
That's Harry the Greek right there, a professional handicapper.
Tip.
What about parlays? Because somebody was talking about this off air, parlays with ace pitchers. You go with 3 ace pitchers, you bet the parlay. Is that smart gambling? I mean, what's the downside of that? Well,
here, parlays are very, very difficult to hit. You'll be much more successful, even running 88% that I did in the season. In football, I still missed quite a few parlays, and I only missed 12% of the games.
Right.
Okay. So a successful handicapper is going to gamble and win 55% of the times. Peter, we went and hit 88% of the times, and if I had played parlays the entire season, I would have lost.
So basically, parlays are a combination of 3 pitchers instead of just one or a team, right? Explain.
Correct. But, parlays are, listen, almost only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and poo-poo fights. Okay? And let's be real. But parlays is when you pick multiple teams.
Right.
And when you was like the question that you had asked, especially about in baseball, if you take 3 ace pitchers and parlay them, what if 2 of those ace pitchers are on the road? What was my rule of thumb? Play the home dog.
Play the home dog, yeah.
So if you have 3 ace pitchers, I'd say over 50% of the times, one of those 3 ace pitchers are going to lose.
Yeah.
And let's be real. Most of your ace pitchers are pitching how many innings, Peter?
These days, ask Blake Snell, about 5 or 6.
Correct. Okay, so the game is close. Let's just say the big favorite, the game is close. They're winning 1-0. It's in the 5th inning.
Right.
The ace pitcher's got 105 pitches. He's coming out. What usually happens after that?
At least
you
a
took
tie.
the ace pitcher out. Now you've got an average, mediocre, middle setup guy coming in, and you get rocked.
Right, and unless look, the Rays had their success last year, and we're going all around the place here with baseball and basketball, and of course football with Harry the Greek, our professional handicapper. Their bullpen did a very solid job besides Game 6 of the World Series, but you're exactly
They did an
right.
amazing job.
Yes, agree.
An amazing job.
I still don't agree.
What the Rays did.
I still don't agree with the decision, and I know Blake Snell doesn't agree with the decision. But let's get back to football here. Mitchell Trubisky signs with the Buffalo Bills. Is this a good signing for the Buffalo Bills? I kind of scratch my head because you got Josh Allen. I almost said Joshua Cole Allen. Josh Allen there, who's definitely upcoming quarterback, relatively healthy, free for the Buffalo Bills. Why would he try to sign there instead of maybe a team where he has an opportunity to start? I get it. The Bills are going to definitely be in playoff contention, possibly Super Bowl contention. But in your opinion, is this a wise move by Mitchell Trubisky?
Well, you know what? That is a great question. I am really glad you asked that.
Of course.
And I'm going to tell you why. at first when it happened, I scratched my head and I'm going, what in the hell are they thinking? What is he thinking going there? He could have went to Washington, Philadelphia. He could have went to 5 or 6 different teams that were looking for a quarterback and have been an instant starter. He decided to take a short deal to be able to go to play under a head coach and an offensive coordinator that developed a quarterback with the identical skill set.
That's true.
And even the general manager has already publicly stated, Mitch Trubisky will be here for 1 year. He's an insurance plan. That's it. And he's here to learn. Next year, he will be starting somewhere in the National Football League. It is a genius move on both camps. Mitch is getting a year off to let his shoulder heal up. And Buffalo has now a backup quarterback that can actually play the exact same system with the exact same skill set in case Josh Allen goes down. You can't ask for anything better than that. At first, I scratched my head. It was a genius move on Buffalo.
Right. We talked about the draft coming here in about less than a month. And, of course, a lot of Bucs fans not really centered on that. But with the signing of Nacho, of course, a lot of Bucs fans assume that Sue's going to be the next signing. But with the signing of Nacho, it doesn't necessarily make that defensive tackle spot that big of a need now, right? Good signing by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in your opinion?
It was an extraordinary signing.
Okay.
Let's just talk donuts here. Look what happened just north of us. The Chicago Bears went from a really good football team to being a very bad football team really quick. And I'm not talking about the signing with Andy Dalton. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is primarily because Chicago let 2 players go and they were cap casualties. One was, and the other one was granted. Kyle Fuller is no longer a Chicago Bear for cap reasons. They didn't have the money to do it.
Right.
They just granted the release of Akeem Hicks.
No stuff. Whoa.
And you tell me, here you go. And he asked Chicago, can he shop himself around? And Chicago said, absolutely. Hold on, Tampa fans. Chicago Tribune is announcing that he is going to have a visit with Tampa Bay.
No
why wouldn't you?
Stuff.
So now, who would you rather have? Hold on. Who would you rather have? Akeem Hicks or Ndamukong Suh?
Who's cheaper?
Well, on top of that, but here's the thing with Hicks. How old is he? How still productive is he? And how much younger is he than a Suh? So if Suh...
He's 31, 32 years old, gets more pressures, averages 7 sacks a year, and he's explosive. He looks like Ndamukong Suh did 4 years ago.
Wow. Well, I tell you right now, that's a game changer. And
Chicago got really bad really quick by losing him.
You kind of wonder how the Bucs would be able to do this, but now you don't. Because
that's just the hypothecating here.
Right.
That was rumor out of Chicago that he's shopping himself to the NFC South. Now that could be going back to New Orleans, which they don't have the money, or that could be taking a team-friendly deal over at Tampa. Who knows? That may mean that he's going to sign in Philly now.
Well, with that being said, that you were hypothecating, or is that a source coming from Chicago Tribune that's
a source that came out of the Chicago Tribune.
So he is setting up a visit with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and why wouldn't he? I mean, I think that's what the Brady effect is all about. And you kind of wonder if a Mr. Hicks would take less money with the situation. I guess it's a contract stalemate, if you will, with the Suh. Would the Bucs then turn their attention to a younger, stronger, in your opinion, and what you see on film with the Hicks over Suh, Tampa Bay, Ray?
Well, an irony is, let's first of all work it back to Tampa Bay. Why wouldn't you take a spring visit on the first day of spring? We're out here at the Deck Bar and Grill at Isla, and the weather's beautiful.
Is it Isla or Isla?
It's been Isla. I came to golf at Isla del Sol 20 years ago.
Well,
now,
my hot friend Damaris Ortiz says Isla, and she rolls her tongue.
Is it Jesus or is it Jesus? I mean, seriously, am I
right? I think it's Isla.
I'm hypothecating here. What I'm saying though is, why wouldn't you take a visit in Tampa Bay? Hey, hang on, we're gonna visit Tampa Bay. We're gonna do a couple of steaks over in Tampa. We're gonna go play around at golf over at wherever, and then also I'm gonna improve my value because you make a visit to the Bucs. People are wondering, would this person sign for less money? We need to offer more money, so you're gonna increase your value in the market. That's all I'm saying. And Tampa Bay is a beautiful place to be right now.
Well, to me, that's. You would certainly think, I get it, Suh played well, but that's kind of an upgrade if you get a Hicks, so your defense becomes even more potent with the Vita Vea and Akeem Hicks.
You need depth at that position.
is a top 5 defensive lineman in football.
He's a monster. He really is.
Yeah.
So
Okay. And if you look at him, you'd say there is no way that guy is fast. You'd say no way he's agile. You would laugh.
right.
Yeah.
When he puts that helmet on, oh God.
He must go about 305.
I'll tell you right now, Akeem Hicks in a
try about 340.
Yeah, 340.
Wow, 340.
You put a 340 guy, you put a 340 guy. What you would be concerned about, I think, would be the heat factor. But once again, re-signing a Nacho, you'll possibly drafting somebody. Again, you have to have that rotation with your defensive line. But once again, for me, in my opinion, Hicks becomes an automatic upgrade and makes this defensive line even better than it was last year.
And it's going to depend on what Ndamukong wants to do.
That's what I had heard. That they're he's very interested in shopping himself around. It doesn't mean that Chicago won't re-sign him, but he wants to shop himself out there. But Chicago can't afford him. So
that's great.
If I see him go anywhere, I'd love to see him go to Tampa, because I'll tell you what. With that on the defensive line, you don't have to be a 3-down lineman. You can play him on the run. You can play him on the pass.
Hey,
He's
Harry.
extraordinary for both.
Can I ask you a question, though, with the Bears, with now with Foles at quarterback and now with the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton, do the Bears take their first-round draft pick and trade up to get another player who's only played 13 games at the NCAA Division I level, like it's Mitch Trubisky from North Carolina, or are they actually going to try to build this team back?
Well, what you're talking about is a Trey Lance. I think that's what you're talking about. And
they're not trading up. They're not going to trade up. This deal with Russell Wilson isn't dead either, by the way. That's also another rumor that's coming out of the one of the major newspapers in Chicago.
Well, how could it be? I mean, honestly, if the Bears are offering 3 first-round picks, but the talk is, and this is coming from ESPN, what I've heard yesterday, Trey Lance is if the Bears somehow would get Trey Lance or get up into that top 10 and get a Trey Lance and draft him, then basically what they would do is they would shift a Lance, because Seattle feels like Lance could be the next Russell Wilson, if you will. Athletic characteristics, good attitude. They trade him there. Russell Wilson comes back. The deal was what was holding up the deal was the fact that, unlike Miami and unlike the Jets, they have a top 10 first-round pick. Of course, the Bears pick at 20. So somehow the Bears would get a Trey Lance, then maybe that deal happens. And I think Seattle's crazy for not making the deal. But again, at the end of the day, does 20 get you a quarterback that's going to start? Because if you trade a Russell Wilson, basically you got to get a quarterback in the deal, and the Bears had no quarterback to offer at that point besides a Nick Foles.
Harry, let me ask you this, though. And I'm not saying Hicks makes or breaks the deal, but watching the Bears letting Hakeem Hicks walk away, and not that I'm saying he makes or breaks that Bears defense. I think they still have a pretty darn good defense there in the NFC North. But now, do you still want to give away 3 1s and 62 2s and $20 million and bring in Russell Wilson for what?
There's no player. I'm glad you asked that, Ray, because there's no player, in my opinion, in the National Football League that's worth that kind of clout. Not even Bo Jackson, not even what Mike Ditka did in the early 90s when he went to go get Ricky Williams and he gave his entire draft away. How did that work out for him?
Didn't work out good at all. Terrible.
How did that work out for Minnesota when they got Herschel Walker? Wait a minute. That's right. All those draft picks went to Dallas, and Dallas did what? They became a perennial Super Bowl team.
Harry, Peter, hold on. Let me go ahead and drop this mic. For a Buccaneers team under Jason Light that was building and had a solid, youngest of his team was that secondary, but we had every other piece in place, except for maybe running back. There was a question before Fournette comes here. And I'm not just saying it's because we picked up 55 and there's a second Lombardi in the case.
Sure.
Tom Brady going into 2020, I give you 3 number ones for if the team was built the way this Buccaneers team was. But the Bears team is being dismantled and is at the end of the arc with Pace at general manager. And you give away the farm for Russell Wilson, he blows a knee or a quad or
They're
something
desperate
in the first game.
But it's going back to what you said. It's the Brady effect around the NFL. The direct reflection of the NFL has changed now because teams see the Bucs going after a veteran quarterback and a Brady and having the success. And of course, you having the team, but a quarterback can make so much of a difference and hide a lot of the weaknesses, if you will, right, in a team. Listen. So the Bears are looking at, they have a defense in place. If they have to trade 3 first-round picks to get a Russell Wilson, is it always going to be good if you don't win a Super Bowl or at least get to the playoffs? Most likely it's not, but you feel like Wilson will at least give you a couple more years and at least give you an opportunity and an upgrade over a Trubisky and over a Nick Foles. So that's what it comes down to. But is it risky? Absolutely. But if you're asking me today, if Tom Brady's on the market, would I trade 3 first-round picks?
With this team, though.
Absolutely.
With this team.
Yes.
No, I wouldn't do it for the Bears. If I was the Bears in 2020.
No,
the
I
Bears
wouldn't do it for the Bears, but I
They're
would do
not
it for the
ready.
Bucs.
The Bears would have a harder time going to the Super Bowl with this team right now with Tom Brady at the helm than Tampa Bay will, for obvious reasons. Their skill positions
Receiver,
are far,
tight
far
end.
better.
Yeah.
Correct.
The only thing that
Correct.
Chicago, in my opinion, is better at is with the running game. Okay,
Mm.
there's not many running backs better than the David Montgomery, but no one really knows about him because he's barely used. Okay, wide receivers, hands down, Tampa Bay. Chicago has decent receiver in Allen Robinson. He's one of the better number ones that are out there. They have an up and coming kid with Darnell Mooney. They had Anthony Miller, who they're trying to shop and get rid of. They have a really up and coming tight end. But please do not even think that Tom Brady can go to Chicago and take this team to the Super Bowl. It would be a lot harder because this Tampa team is just so far so far better. It's not even fun.
Give me 3 teams in the NFL. 3 teams in the NFL Tom Brady could go to besides the Bucs right now. Buffalo.
The Rams. I'm going to tell you right now.
The Rams. Okay, especially, yeah.
With that
Let me
defense?
Let me think. The Rams.
Okay.
Buffalo.
Kansas City.
Well, yeah, but
Hold on.
Yeah.
No, don't say but. You said 3 teams.
Okay.
Buffalo, possibly. Let me give you some more teams. Miami. Okay, that's right, because they play defense, but very similar to a Chicago. Doesn't have really a lot of
Miami at the skill positions. Yeah.
right.
Okay, and you ready for this one, guys?
Go for it.
I'm going to sting a lot of people when I say this. You holding on?
Green Bay Packers.
The Green Bay Packers.
I knew he was going to say that.
Of course.
It does sting.
Because it's assumed Aaron Rodgers can't get them over the top. And you look at his record in NFC championship games at 1-5, it's nothing to write home about. And I'll tell you at the end of the day.
Right. That receiving core is almost as good as Tampa's. They have an extraordinary tight end, but they don't have a plethora of tight ends like Tampa does. They have one.
Yeah.
Okay. You add one more tight end with the blocking skill set that Green Bay pulls forward and the running game with that coaching staff and a mediocre defense, Tom Brady puts up 35 a game.
Yeah, and I
How
wonder
about San Francisco? Did we say San Francisco?
To me, San Francisco,
No.
and they were
He almost went there last year.
Well, he did, and they
Yeah,
were
he did.
evaluating. They were evaluating that whole thing, and they went
Yeah,
back
they were.
with Garoppolo. But if you have that defense in place, and of course
Without
they had the
injury,
defensive
yeah.
injuries, I definitely think the 49ers would have been a team that I'm never going to rule out Tom Brady or bet against them again. And it looks like here UNC making a big time run, 29-26 Florida
back within
State,
3 points,
all the way up 21-7. But as everybody knows in basketball, especially in college, you always make a run. And this team right now making a run. Quick shot here.
It's a
too much
13th
time.
seed versus a number 4
Wow.
seed, and you made the point that Florida State has they have their laxes.
Yeah.
they get their lackadaisical moments.
But going back to the whole Brady thing again, I would trade 3 first-round picks because you got the team in place,
Not
you got the
a big
defense.
If you're
in
going to win
place.
a Super Bowl for one year and then have to suffer for the next 10, that might be a little tough. But you know what? I'm willing to sell my soul to the devil for the Lombardi one time. And going back to San Francisco, I don't think he would, because I don't think that team is as good. And I was on a Sunday night show on Buck Report, and it was about maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, and someone had made comment that if Brady would have gone to
the Chargers,
to the Chargers,
that was me.
That was you.
That was me.
No chance. I don't think
look,
that he would have brought him there.
Anthony Lynn doesn't lose his job. I'll guarantee you that.
I think the Chargers have the talent on the
Anthony,
outside.
You're right, Ray.
Lynn probably would have kept on his
lost
job.
Right, but I still think they have the talent on the outside with the Keenan Allen. They got Hunter, the Hunter kid.
Hunter
not
Henry.
Hunter Renfro, yeah.
Hunter
Henry.
Renfro. That's an old name, though,
Yeah,
right?
it is. At tight end, I mean, defensively, they can't stay healthy, but you still have Bosa, Derwin James. That's the problem. Derwin James can't stay healthy. Bosa can't stay healthy.
And, of course, Derwin
Melvin
James was
Ingram
the one.
can't stay healthy.
We should have taken Derwin James instead of Vita Vea. Wasn't that the thing?
No.
How are you feeling about that now, Buccaneer fans?
Yeah.
Derwin James is a great defensive second.
Can't stay healthy the last 2 years.
Can't stay healthy. And Vita Vea, of course, the irony is he was also out with an injury this year, but look at the impact he has when he comes back to the playoffs.
Ray, when you're 350 pounds at start, it's hard to stay healthy. But let me tell you something. I'll put that 350-pound Samoan up against anybody.
I'll tell you right now.
In the National Football Leagues, he is a huge, pardon the pun, a huge difference maker.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
Absolutely.
You talk about making everybody better around you. He does.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he does.
And he doesn't even have to say a word. He doesn't have to bark out any signals. He makes everybody around him.
He does it with a
because,
smile.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
I
best
know,
part
man.
of Vita Vea. He
It's
does it with a
hilarious.
smile.
I agree, and I definitely think he made a big-time difference on that defensive line. You could see it, and that's the reason why they were able to re-sign a Shaq Barrett, because at the end of the day, Shaq could probably take more money from somewhere else.
Oh, without a doubt.
But the defensive line situation is far better than anything out there in the NFL, in my opinion. Good stuff. Over under here really quick, and we'll get you out of here. Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper, Mr. 88%, going up to 89, 90%. New show here on Bucs Report. Wednesday nights at 8:30, 9 o'clock comes on and gives you the over-unders. And in fact, I want to start a new segment called Wanna Bet.
Want to bet?
Wanna bet Leonard Fournette goes somewhere else, or now with the Chris Carson signing to the Seattle Seahawks, how much are you betting that he comes back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
You know what? The odds have gotten a lot shorter because
Okay.
there's a lot of teams that are starting to dwindle away.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't see him signing with Tampa.
Wow.
I just don't see him.
So
signing
you
with
would
Tampa.
you would bet
He wants-
you would bet the under on that.
And I'm going to say I'm going to bet the under. I'm going to tell you why. Because he wants to be a 3-down back. And Tampa can make him a 3-down back, but they're not going to treat him like a 3-down back.
Mhm.
That's the problem.
Okay.
That's why he's shopping. Otherwise, he would have already taken the team-friendly deal and said, hey, I want to play for you.
All right, we'll do one more, and then we'll kind of reveal this next
Go for
Wednesday night. Want to bet Antonio Brown re-signs with the Bucs?
Over.
Why over?
He's going to sign.
Okay. There's been talk now that Russell Wilson's still going after him, but for you at the end of the day, it's Tom Brady, Antonio Brown. They worked this out. Russell Wilson, possibly Baltimore, or a team out there willing to overpay, even with the stuff off the field. You don't think that happens. You believe he gets back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right?
I think he gets back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He likes the fact that he's won a Super Bowl.
Okay.
He's already made a lot of money in his career. He could have made a lot more, barring that he didn't want to, stop playing and, take his head out of his, what.
Mm-hmm.
But why wouldn't you want to play with Tom Brady? Why wouldn't you want to play with probably arguably the best offense in the National Football League and one of the best ever to be assembled? I just don't understand why you want to do that. I don't care if Joe Montana was in Frisco right now. You got Tom friggin' Brady here in Tampa with those plethora of receivers, and you never know who's going to be getting the ball. Sorry, they're getting him. You're going to lose that bet.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. So we'll get more of that on the over-under 9 o'clock here, usually about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Well, I think we're going to go about 9:15 here live on Bucs Report. Harry the Greek, thanks a lot for your time on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, live from the Deck Bar and Grill in Isla del Sol. All right?
Great job, guys. Thanks so much for having me on. You take care.
Appreciate
care,
you.
Harry.
There you go. Harry the Greek right there. Open phone line, 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Bay Ray
Every
Kennedy,
time you
best
do
in the
that.
Bay. Cup of Ray, wake
What do you
up there.
say?
Wake up right now. I'm just hearing crickets from you guys. And I don't know, man. I mean, are you excited about March Madness being back? We didn't have it last year as fans. I think a lot of people were going crazy. What a difference a year makes. And again, at halftime, 29-26 Florida State over UNC.
It ain't looking good. Now that's a
UNC
13
G.
seed versus a 4 seed. But
Right.
I'm not saying,
That's not North Carolina. It's lower seed, 13 seed, UNCG. So,
I'm just saying basketball, of course, let's
Right.
be honest. It always comes down to the last 2 minutes.
well, it does.
anyway.
And this is what I worry about with Florida State is that they're so inconsistent. They turn over the ball. They're such a young team. They're led by MJ Walker. They like to shoot the threes. But again, live by the three, die by the three, especially if you're not making them. All right, let's go out to the phone lines here. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, live from the Deck Bar and Grill. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Okay. All right. Well, that was completely pointless. So let's go out with that. All right, let's go out to the web heads here. Read some comments from these guys. Who do you think is the most underrated defensive player on the Buccaneers? Go.
Sean Murphy Bunting.
That's a good one.
Underrated,
I
I'm
still
saying.
think it's Carlton Davis, but you could also
Carlton
also
Davis.
put Antoine Winfield in there, and I'll tell you why. Antoine Winfield Jr. Just the impact of him coming in as a rookie,
You know what's
the
just funny
plays
though?
that he made.
You just covered, and I think we have 3 possible candidates, and they're all again in that young secondary that's coming. Can you imagine flipping the script in about 3 years?
That's why I'm flabbergasted. People, well, you need to go after Patrick Peterson. You need to go after this guy. No. You want to continue on with the growth and the development of these young players in the back end of that secondary.
Now imagine flipping the script in 3 years from now. You're able to go with the development on the front side. You still have Devin White in the middle. You still have Levante David, or you get Levante's replacement. Not trying to get rid of you, Levante, but you can go with the fact that you have the Legion of Boom in the secondary, and now you can build. That's how good defense
is.
It's
a great comparison.
Good teams continue to what's the word I'm looking for?
Continue to get better and develop,
not reincarnate,
and get more comfortable.
Yes. Well, you can never keep drafting. You have teams that continue to draft quarterbacks, continue to draft defensive linemen. Like you say, like for example, if you were telling me what the Bears could use this year, do you think you'd rather take a chance and give away 3 1s to get Russell Wilson and try to drop Mike with a team or go after? I'd give up 2 1s and a 2 for the Bears to get Chase Young so I could see Aaron Rodgers on his backside every time we play him this year. That's something the team could use.
But if you trade the 2 first-round picks for a defensive end, I get that.
For Chase
Young. But if you don't have a quarterback that's going to be able to lead you anywhere,
you're right.
Then on top of it, you give yourself the opportunity to not get a quarterback in the next couple of years. I'm just not sure about that.
Not like Harry says. Like Harry Agree says. I don't know of a player in the NFL.
I think the Bears are desperate, and I think they should be desperate because most likely their general manager and their coach will be fired at the end of the year. And Andy Dalton is not taking you anywhere. I don't care what anybody says. He's not taking you anywhere.
Don't forget, you could have signed Andy Dalton last offseason. Instead, you give Nick Foles the bank, and now you still have Nick Foles on the team. You lose Mitch Trubisky, who may have still developed into a quarterback had you given this kid a chance, and you bring in Andy Dalton a year later with still Nick Foles on the roster. I don't know how this guy's even got a job today being Pace.
Well, I don't understand it either. I don't know how the coach has a job. I guess they wanted to bring him back and see what they could do. But what the development of Trubisky, to me, that's everything you need to know. Usually, if your quarterback fails that you draft, then everybody gets axed.
Well, easy though, because Jameis failed. Jameis didn't fail though. Jameis threw 116 interceptions. They
saw an upgrade with the greatest of all time.
There's no doubt. I mean, who doesn't see an upgrade there?
Right. And again, this is a year last year. A year to this day, Tom Brady was signing his official contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Today,
in your opinion, besides the Super Bowls, guys, let's throw this question out there: is that the biggest sports moment that has ever happened in Tampa Bay history, sports history? 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, go ahead and let's add on. I'm gonna put some frosting on the top of the cake there. It happened a week into the first pandemic in 100 years.
Yeah.
We were a week. March Madness is going strong down here at the Deck Bar and Grill at Isla del Sol. We're getting back to a place of normalcy, but you signed Tom Brady literally as the entire world is shutting down. We're all getting into our homes. We're not leaving it. The roads are bare. Cats are loving dogs. It's mayhem everywhere, right?
Cats are loving dogs.
And the signing of Tom Brady.
I don't think cats are loving dogs.
Well, that's not in the bargain. But I don't know how the other 31 NFL cities got through the pandemic year. We signed Tom Brady a year ago today, March 20th, first day of spring. And then it just went
Well,
on
he
and
signed
up
his
from
official
there.
contract, but of course he came on with the Bucs. I believe it was announced on March 17th, which was last Wednesday.
Right, I mean, because he was doing his physical in New York.
Right, but how does that rank as a moment in Tampa Bay sports history, in your opinion? Is that right up there with a World Series or a Super Bowl? Because if you think about it, at the end of the day, it's basically a franchise-changing moment once you sign him.
Well, here's the thing, though, for me, and I without a doubt, but me personally, there's been a few times in Buccaneers history that I've actually shed a tear.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this, I go back. I actually had a tear drop down my face the day we drafted Warren Sapp, because I was so pissed off at the NCAA for telling me this wasn't your Heisman Trophy winner, and you give it to Rashawn Salam. And Warren Sapp was the best player in college football, number 76 from defensive tackle at Miami. He blew things up, and we draft Warren Sapp. I get a tear. A year later, and of course we get double nickel Derek Brooks there in the first round too. A year later, we signed Tony Dungy. And then I get Hardy Nickerson. There's my top 5 spots, but Tom Brady's in the top 2, along with those two. Of course, you got Leroy Selman, and then when the league team was officially accepted. So there's my top 6.
Okay.
And I don't know where they stand. Call right now and convince me of where they should stand or where they stand.
Give them the number,
Buccaneer fans.
You know the number by now? Oh, you
I
don't.
know. You're in Peter Blake, you're like my best friend on my phone. I just hit you.
727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, Best of the Bay, Cup of Ray. What do you say on tomorrow here live on Bucs Report? So let's continue to read some of these comments. Zach Barrett re-signed. Absolutely, Mike. I'm watching my Gators in the tourney. They had a little bit of difficulty defeating Virginia Tech 75-70. So we'll see what's up for them next. I'm stoked about Suck Up re-signing. I want a Suck Up jersey. Drake says, got my Bucs hat yesterday. We read that comment.
Real quick, you can take your Jameis Winston number 3. You can put it and make it a Suck Up, but it's going to have the digital alarm clock numbers. So there's a give and take with that. I'll pass
on that.
I would go with
those jerseys are a curse and a scourge.
The number 3s or the Jameis jerseys?
No, the jerseys
those alarm
themselves.
Clock numbers.
They made me want to go to sleep.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Back to your comments there, Mr. Peter.
Hate those jerseys.
They were terrible.
They were terrible. All right, let's go on to Jason. How do y'all feel about JPP heading into the 2021 season? I mean, look, Jason, he led this team in sacks, was playing at 60 to 70%. So you would assume with him being fully healthy, having the entire defensive line, although we're not sure what the Sue situation presents. We talked to Harry the Greek about Akeem Hicks possibly maybe coming to Tampa Bay. Hypothetically, we'll see what happens with that. But if you get the entire defensive line, you would have to feel good about JPP being able to repeat those same type of statistics, maybe even with a Vita Vea back for a full year, being able to kind of duplicate the numbers from his first year with the 12.5 sacks because he is such a gamer, right?
Yeah, and I'm going to throw a prediction from left field out there, Peter, because this is the third time we've talked about the defensive line.
That personnel, because that was a big thing about, with only losing one coach and a Randall L to the Lions, you didn't lose your defensive coordinator, you didn't lose your offensive coordinator.
Kevin Garver, the wide receivers coach, we didn't lose Todd Bowles, who was interviewed in Houston. I don't know how Houston doesn't hire Todd.
That's also important, not only players, but also coaches. And you can sit there and say, well, coaching doesn't make a difference. Players play, coaches coach. But at the end of the day, if you have that same continuity, you have an opportunity to go for 2, and that's why I think a lot of Bucs fans should be excited about this statement. I'll continue to say it. Super Bowl or bust. Yes, I said it last March. I'm saying it this March. Hey, you don't listen to me, you'll have to find out the hard way. Let's go out to Bucs Time 12. Just saw this on What's Up Bucs Report. What's going on, Bucs Time? Brady has proved he doesn't need skill players to win a Super Bowl. Let's go out to Use 24D. Let's go TB12. Bucs Time 12. Is Chicago worse than the 2001 Pats team that Brady took to the Super Bowl? They had to go through the Raiders and Steelers and St. Louis Rams.
No, but don't forget that team that he's on there, he's starting. They had Drew Bledsoe, and they weren't the worst team in the NFL. They weren't the worst team in their division. In fact, they were still doing quite well with Drew Bledsoe.
Right.
Tom Brady takes over for Drew Bledsoe on a hellacious injury he gets from Mo.
They didn't necessarily have the weapons on the outside. Maybe a Troy Brown, but really, honestly, you didn't have a lot of weapons. I can remember.
They had offensive line.
Maybe a Ben Coates. Ben Coates comes to mind. Was he
end.
On that team with Brady?
I think I can't be for sure, but I know he was on that team years ago.
I mean, a defense was what you talked about. A Ty Law, of course, a Brewski.
Yeah,
guys
Teddy
like
Bruschi
that
running around in the middle there. You had a team. They were again, but they were. That's a great comparison. Talk about the Bucs in 2020. We had Devin and we had Levante and we had JPP. We had Vita Vea. We had
guy
a very
from the
young
outside who works for
secondary.
NFL Network. What's his name? Outside, Willie McGinnis. Do you have McGinnis at that
Willie
point?
McGinnis. Yeah, forget about it. I know. Also, don't they have the nose tackle there?
Vince Wilfork.
Was Wolfork there? Because he's a Hall of Fame.
Wow.
When we draft Vita Vea, he's the first comparison.
I'm getting old because I should remember this kind of stuff.
And we talked about ages before we did the show today during our production meeting.
I'm telling you. Over Under was great fun last Wednesday. Awesome show. Thank you, Bucs Time 12. Appreciate you. Hey, what's up, everyone? Says Christopher Cole. Love it. Roger Shue, go. Cubs, go. I guess I'll go ahead and give that. What channel is the FSU game on?
Do the Cubs have Maddox pitching this year? Is he a rookie again? I mean, I don't. There it goes.
No.
back in the day when it was WGN?
Of
WOR.
course,
That's
I
all we did as
remember.
kids.
Yeah,
We came home from school.
WGN with Mad Dog Maddox. You had Harry Carey.
WTBS. We had the
Yes.
Braves, the Cubs.
You had the Braves, the Cubs,
Mets.
and that's it.
And why
I
don't
didn't
the-
watch the Mets.
and
Nobody
then-
watches the Mets.
I watched the Mets.
Well, of course you
I'm
did.
from Staten Island, but why don't we get in the NFC East where we could have really? I think
NFC East. You mean the NL East?
the
Killing me.
the National League East. But why don't if
I don't even know what you just said.
if the Rays drop into the same division as the Mets, the Cubs, and the Braves, the Braves,
Right.
the Cubs, and the Mets.
Well, it used to be like that from the old days. It
But-
used to be just a couple divisions.
I believe attendance is not a problem for us anywhere near what it is now. And I'm not saying that the Yankees don't bring down their fans or the Boston fans don't come down, but you're talking about a division we all grew up. Well, because you talk about first generational, the Rays are still a first generational team.
Right. You remember how we talk about we wish the Bucs had a great quarterback, and they did with the Tom Brady, and you see the results.
Yeah.
I wish the Rays had a great ownership like the Bucs or like the Tampa Bay Lightning. You could see where the fandom would be.
You know, you
I'm
and
just
I
saying,
agree
man.
and disagree.
I'm just saying,
Wait,
look-
would you rather have Captain Kangaroo as an owner and be in the AFC and the American League Central, or be competing for the American League East year in and year out?
Look, I'm not going to sit here and discount what they do. What I'm saying is when you have an owner that comes out and talks about
He's not very
doing-
smart with the public's relations.
right, so that's what I'm
public
saying.
relations,
Like
no.
people, well, same kind of comparison. Well, Jameis Winston, talented quarterback, can make all the throws.
Oh.
Throws to over 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. But what if he could cut down on the interceptions? What if the Bucs have a great quarterback? We saw
Yes.
what if now, right? The what if Tom Brady now leads the Bucs to the Super Bowl, of course, accompanied by the defense. Same goes with the comparison. Could you imagine with the Rays and their success of what they've done in spending money consistently, like the Bucs have done, like the Lightning have shown, signing their own players, going out there and getting the pieces? Could you imagine the Rays could do that, and then on top of it, have an ownership that would not say anything about moving? Could you imagine?
No, I get it. What if you had Jeffrey Vinnick?
Just saying.
And when's the last time, Pete? When's the last time you've been in downtown Tampa at Channelside?
Not enough, man.
I swear to gosh, I'm going to drive you. Well, we were over there for the Super Bowl.
Well, we were
Went
over there for the Super
We
Bowl.
went by it though
Right.
because we were going to David Ortiz's
Right.
golf shootout.
Celebrity shootout.
Celebrity shootout, and then we go over
Great
to the
interviews, by the
Super
way.
Bowl. Great interviews. If you haven't
Thanks to
checked those
Todd
out
Grassley.
already.
We had
Todd Grassley's the best.
he is. He was awesome to set that up, and of course we had Leon Searcy on Monday, which was
That was great.
Tremendous.
And I couldn't believe the way that came out. And then, of course, talking about his book. What was his book? First and what?
Fourth Down and
Fourth
Damn.
and Damn.
Yeah, good stuff.
Good.
So don't go check that out on Amazon, of course. So let's go ahead and read some more comments here. Well, let's go out to Joshua Allen then, one of our best writers here on Bucs Report, one of the hardest working guys out there. I know you're on with yours truly, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. What do you have to say, my friend?
Hey, what you say? What's going on? Peter
Today.
Ray.
Yeah, you're the guy that's going to be singing now. Ray Kennedy used to do this all the time, and we got him out of it. We need to get
Well,
you
the
out of it
irony
here.
is writing.
Of course, he's writing
He's writing a great
the
song.
lyrics. He's a lyricist of We Them Bucs.
We Them Bucs, and he has a great article
On
came out
YouTube.
article today on Bucs Report about the week. Of course, Joshua, go ahead and tell us about last week. We talked, or 2 weeks ago, or 10 days ago, it was the Bucs signing their own free agents, and of course, you had an article drop today on Bucs Report about.
Are you there, Joshua?
I am here. He cut out for a second. So.
Oh,
No, I
okay.
had the worst segue
I
for
just
questions.
heard about.
That was my lead-in.
And
then
then
the Buccaneers could potentially sign. Actually, one of them had already signed with another team today, but that still leaves about 9 of them left.
Was it Duke
Well,
Johnson?
will you shut up and be quiet? Duke Johnson was
Jordan Jenkins.
Jordan
Oh.
Jenkins. Okay, so
He signed
defensive.
with Houston.
Okay,
Oh, that's a-
who in the world would
Hard-
sign with Houston, by the way? Besides Philip
I
Lindsay,
don't
who
know.
did, and with all the allegations with Deshaun Watson. Tell you what, let's start out there. I know it's not Bucs related, but what's your opinion on this? Now, many women, several, I believe about 12 women now have come out and have these allegations and masseuse and all this other stuff. I mean, what do you make of it? Some people were saying, well, this is the Texans trying to basically lower his value down, but that doesn't make any sense. What do you make of this situation? And could, in your opinion, Watson be in some hot water with the National Football League and Roger Goodell?
Yeah, that's a sticky situation, one that I don't want to get into personally without all the facts myself.
Okay.
But it's definitely not something that's holding him in good light right now with the National Football League. Whether it's true, whether it's not true, the attention's still out there. The name is still out there. The organization is still out there. I know some. The NFL is a tricky place. Teams will take care of you as long as you're taking care of them. A lot of teams have a lot of power with local authority, within the organization and outside of the organization. And do I think that it could potentially be a possibility that maybe this stuff had came forward a little bit sooner and that maybe the Texans were kind of shielding this from publicity? Wouldn't be surprised me. We've seen this happen before with other teams. But either way, whatever the case is, these allegations are coming forward, and it's going to be a long process before we really know what is going on. We saw what happened with Antonio Brown last year, or the year prior, rather, with those allegations coming about. Still tied up in legal proceedings, so it will probably be a long time till we find out what really happened and what's going on, and that's even if it goes to trial and doesn't get settled.
Right.
But it's a tricky situation to comment on, tricky situation to even talk about without knowing it. Does it affect his trade value in the NFL? Probably as well. I mean, teams don't know if he's going to be suspended, if he's going to even be able to play, and then you have them bringing in Tyrod Taylor and Ryan Finley in as well. So just to back up. So
if you're a respective team like the Carolina Panthers, or we've heard that he doesn't necessarily want to go to the Jets or the Dolphins. He possibly could be wanting to go to the Carolina Panthers or the Denver Broncos. Does that kind of give you pause to say, you know what, I'm not going to trade for him because we don't know what the allegations are about, and it's just too risky at that point? So at the end of the day, do you feel like Watson is still going to be in the Texan uniform with all these allegations in the next couple months?
What it does to me if I'm a team trading for him is it gives me we talk about player movement and compared to the NBA. Well, now we're going to see teams that are giving up things for player movement. In a case like Deshaun Watson, I would definitely think that if I'm a team trading for him, I'm not giving you the firsts. Not just plain simple, here's a first. I'm giving you a third-round pick, conditional, future third-round pick, conditional that could be a first if all these legal proceedings happen and stuff like that. So you might see something more of that, like the Denver Broncos offered them their first this year, and 2 future thirds that could become first based upon the legal proceedings, everything happened. I see something like that. But I mean, Deshaun Watson's such a talent that if, like I said, it's going to get pushed back. He'll probably play this entire season because the NFL won't do anything until a court and legal proceedings happen. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to watch.
That is sticky because Josh, where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't think this guy's guilty. I want to see everybody giving their day in court, but it goes from 1 to 3.
It's a pattern of behavior. That's
right.
the again, whether
this is Bill Cosby numbers.
Right. It's
don't sleep on this one, but here you go.
It's bad.
If allegations come out and if enough, we're not going to see a Ray Rice video from the elevator, but if enough of that evidence comes to the forefront that we can basically say this has to be tried, we've got to clean this up. There has to be a point where the NFL, coming out of COVID 2020, where every league got a pass. The NFL got a pass in 2020, and they're getting a little bit of a pass with the salary cap being lessened down to 182.5 this year when it should have went north of 200 when they just finalized all those television agreements this week. And we'll talk about that later. But if the allegations continue to roll out and something comes to the forefront with enough evidential treatment to it, the NFL, it just, in light of the fact that 47% of all NFL fans are female, same here at Bucs Report, and there's some women that are much smarter at football than me, and they're better football fans than I am. And if you don't respect both sides of that aisle, and you start to see, again, you said it starts to show a strength.
It's a bad look. It's overall, it's
they may have to just, for his own sake and for the NFL's sake, they may have to put him on the commissioner's exempt list just to get this off the fire.
Right.
And even then it may not get off the fire.
It's very unfortunate and bad luck for a young quarterback, a young player that is as a superstar. And you didn't see this coming, but it's out there now. Let's talk about the recent Bucs signings with Nacho. How important is that? And does that kind of alleviate the concern, if you will, JCA, on the Bucs going after a defensive tackle at 32? Do you feel like now they can maybe look at a situation?
I don't necessarily think so.
Okay.
Sorry. broke up.
And
I think
when do you think Sue can be signed? Is that going to come anytime soon here? And we hear about Akeem Hicks possibly seeking a trade and being out there. What do you think about all that?
Well, Nacho, I think, was a good depth piece. He doesn't really have a true position in the Bucs base alignment, but when they go to their sub packages, he's a guy that can come in and definitely add value. He stepped in with Steve McClendon last year as a replacement for Vita Vea. He did a very good job. So giving him that extension and kicking him up a couple more dollars to kind of reward him for his availability and his ability to step in. I like the move. As far as Akeem Hicks, I'm not sure. I think he's got a bigger contract. I'm not positive on that. I know the Bears re-signed him, I think, 2 years ago. And as for Sue, he's dealing with a wife who's about to give birth to twins, and I think that is something that is more important on his mind. And quite frankly, the Bucs have some work to do before they can even restructure and open up cap space to bring him in. So I think he'll be back. You're looking at it. Does he really, with everything going on in his offseason world right now, does he really want to go to a new team, a new city, learn a new playbook, learn new teammates and coaches and everything like that, while having to come home and help deal with two twins as a first-time father? And as a father in general myself, I don't need all that extra stress on top of that. So I think he's just waiting. He signed late last year. I think he'll be back. I just give it a little time. We're only 4 days into free agency.
Can I throw in my personal?
Don't start panic yet.
Can I throw in my personal opinion here?
Sure, go for it.
Best friends with Warren, not best friends, but Warren Buffett, of course, the great man Warren Buffett is, and him, he's been telling Ndamukong how to invest that money for years now. Twins on the way, just got married a year and a half, 2 years ago. I say that there may be a possibility that you want to see Ndamukong in transition, because as much as you still want to be part of Ndamukong Sue's position specifically, the much as you want to see or be a part of a run for that second ring with Tom Brady at quarterback, the GOAT under center there in Tampa Bay, I think that Ndamukong, I honestly would not be surprised. I think he's holding his options open. And Joshua, you're so right. As parents, we know this. And with those twins on the way, he has that he do that, brother. You got so much more going on. But I honestly would not be shocked if Ndamukong announced in April or May that, he's retiring from the league.
I don't think he's retiring. I don't think he's going to retire.
I
don't think he'll retire because of his comments to Sports Illustrated about a month and a half ago.
I think it's Seattle or the Buccaneers.
So
right.
You think he'd move his wife and 1 month-old twins across the country to Seattle?
I guess the question
he lives
would be,
in Seattle. That's his off-season home.
Oh my gosh,
Josh, do you think that some team would overpay for him, or is the market not out there and the Bucs are basically waiting this out? So they're the only team left, in your opinion, or do you think there's a team out there that's going to overpay?
No, I don't think it has anything to do with the Bucs waiting out the market. I think it's more they're still working on ways to open up cap space. He's got a lot of things going on in his personal life, and the dialogue is open between both of them. And when the time is right, they'll sit down and they'll come to a fair contract. I think he made $10 million his first year. I know he made $8 million last year. I can see him making $6-7 million with some incentives to get back up there. I don't think his contract would be too difficult, especially with the NFL being so lax on these void years this year. There's a way to give him $8 million and spread it out, so it's only costing you
and we're on
$4 million this year.
We're on with Joshua Cole Allen, one of the best writers here on Bucs Report, one of the hardest working men I know. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. Want to go out to Antonio Brown. What have you heard about that situation? You were one of the first guys last year that was saying you would not be surprised with Brown and his relationship with Brady, that he would eventually sign with the Bucs, and it happened. He was highly productive, 45 receptions. And your opinion, is it the Bucs or bust, or could the Seattle Seahawks, the Baltimore Ravens? What have you heard the latest on the Brown situation? I know we heard from John Clayton from Seattle that was saying Russell Wilson, once again, Seattle, very interested in a Brown.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what his market's going to be and the dollars and cents, how they're going to dictate it. For me, I think Antonio Brown still has to prove it another year, staying healthy, staying out of the news, staying, productive. And his best option, in my opinion, is to stay with the Buccaneers for one more year and then go out there. We've seen guys like, Juju Smith-Schuster just got $7 million from
the Steelers re-signed
so,
after the social.
We thought this guy.
Yes,
we thought this guy. Chris Godwin is now looking like he's overpaid in this wide receiver market this offseason. I mean, between him and Allen Robinson, everybody got less than what the franchise tag is. So Antonio Brown, I think his best option, he's not going to get Juju Smith-Schuster money this year, is to come back to the Bucs, improve his value, continuing to work hard and stay out of the news and build that rapport and that chemistry and build up those numbers with Tom Brady, who is already so familiar with this offense, and then dip back into it next year. I spoke with John Ledyard, and he's in the same agreement with me that Antonio Brown is the guy like Larry Fitzgerald, who's going to age well. He's got the hands, he's got the route running ability, the smarts. He's going to be a guy like Larry Fitzgerald, who just got paid $11 million last year. He just needs to rehab his image a little bit, and Tampa Bay is the best spot for him to do it. 1 year deal, $3.5, $4 million with some incentives. I think we'll get the job done.
Let me go out to in these comments. Who's expendable? Julian Edelman says Mike Tannenbaum. He said this on Get Up on ESPN. He says in so many words, Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, when you connect the dots, it makes lots of sense. Antonio Brown wasn't re-signed. Edelman is now expendable. It's another expatriate going to Tampa Bay with Tom Brady. It makes lots of sense to me when you connect the dots. And, of course, former Steelers safety Ryan Clark disagreed and says that he'd rather have a Scotty Miller. So if they don't re-sign an Antonio Brown, even with the Bucs wide receiving depth of a Tyler Johnson, a Scotty Miller, and what they have there, of course, a Godwin and a Mike Evans, does Edelman make sense for the Bucs? And could you see him signing a free agent deal to basically once again chase the ring?
You know, I could answer that in full and give you a full breakdown on what I think the Buccaneers can do if Antonio Brown does in fact leave.
Go for it. I mean, you're our guest here.
He's gonna have to wait for his
article.
My article tonight.
I see ya.
All the options.
ABC, baby. Always be closing that.
Would you shut up and be quiet? You know nothing about closing besides a bar. That's all you know about closing.
I do know how to do that.
We'll have an article tonight breaking down some of the options, whether in-house, out on free agency market, or potential trade guys that they could potentially sign if AB does in fact move on. So I can't give you all that, Peter. I can't.
Okay.
Save it for the readers.
All right, buddy. That's a tease for you guys. Go check out Bucs Report, Joshua Cole Allen. Final question, and we'll get you out of here on this. Actually, a couple questions here. Number one, Leonard Fournette market. Has that kind of calmed down now with the Seahawks and the re-signing of a Chris Carson? You look at the market, is Leonard Fournette going to be a Buck, or do you think he goes somewhere else? And then second, what do you think about Mitchell Trubisky and with the Buffalo Bills? Does that make sense to you?
Mitch Trubisky is a guy on a $2.5 million deal I would have taken anywhere. I think that's a great value for him. You know, he's had some struggles and inconsistencies, but his offensive line, his wide receivers have also had some struggles and inconsistencies. So we've seen flashes of what he can do. We've also seen flashes of what he can't do. To go to a place like Buffalo and learn from a guy like Brian Daboll, who many people, sorry about the kids in the background, many people thought that he was going to get a head coaching job but return to Buffalo. I think it's a great landing spot for him.
Oh, little cannons in the background. Wish him once again a happy birthday. Tell Taylor I said hello. Tell everybody, all your kids, your whole little family. Love your whole little family. We miss them down at the Deck Bar and Grill in Eastla Day. So get down here one of these days. All right, my friend?
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as Leonard Fournette, I don't know if his market is cold now that Seattle Seahawks signed Chris Carson back. You got teams like Miami Dolphins who still need a running back. Team like the Pittsburgh Steelers who need to get back to that ground and pound type Steeler football that they've gone away from the last few years. And Ben Roethlisberger is, at the end of his rope. You need to be able to take the pressure off with a good running game. And then New England Patriots, who are already rumored to have interest in him, are still lurking in the background. So I still don't think he ends up back here. I think Leonard Fournette's best option for him is to go secure a multi-year deal. Because if he does come back here, he might be competing with a guy like James White or another running back that I listed in the article today. Competing with Rojo, obviously the victim of volume.
Love it.
And Keyshawn Vaughn, potentially a rookie running back as well. So if I am Fournette, I am going somewhere where I could potentially secure a long-term deal and take that money.
And of course,
the Buccaneers are going to overpay him.
Of course, JC, and mentioning a White, because that's been also talked about. If you lose a Fournette, more than likely you could see a White signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you're okay with that running back room? Or do you still, in your opinion, feel like the Bucs could draft one at 32 and at Travis Etienne or Najee Harris out of Alabama?
I mean, it depends on what other moves they make in free agency. Also, the board, how the board falls. But I definitely think it's a possibility. I do think they grab a running back this year, just because if your guy Rojo does go off for over 1,000 yards, I don't see the Buccaneers wanting to pay him the money that he might command. So,
which is ridiculous, because you need to pay the victim of volume. I get
you
it.
Always have to have insurance plans,
right? But $12 million, that's what Aaron Jones got from the Green Bay Packers, and he deserved it. But the problem with paying a running back big time money is what we've saw is those tires are basically used.
Yep.
So they don't have a lot of tread on those tires anymore. Ask Todd Gurley after he signed the big time contract. Even Christian McCaffrey, right, signing a big time contract. Alvin Kamara. So those contracts become hindrances, if you will, Leo word, to the salary cap and to the current offense, because they're not necessarily the same guys. So I get it. I see where you're saying, but Ronald Jones, if he's consistent,
it's better to spend $10 million on 4 backfield players.
Well,
than to play it on one if you can have some, if they're good.
The Derrick Henry narratives are fewer and far between.
Good point.
You get Derrick Henry. I mean, there's 30 teams in the league that would drop a coin for Derrick Henry, because what he does, he phenomenally changes your offense and gives Ryan Tannehill a chance to make over $100 million as a play option quarterback. But I guarantee you what you say. But I tell you what, Joshua, and I agree with you, Peter. I still think there's a possibility that Fournette goes more towards or even after the draft, because he realizes he doesn't have to sign that immediate contract, and he'll look for his best bargain in the marketplace. But there's got to be at least 5 or 6 or 8 teams that are like, at the end of the day, we'd like to have playoff Lenny or
playoffs.
We'd like to have
Lombardi Lenny.
Playoffs.
Lombardi Lenny.
Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Love it. It never gets old.
The irony is, I would love as a football fan, I'd like to see Fournette go back to Jacksonville with Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence, but that's not happening. I mean, that's not happening anymore. Than
I'd put it like 25%, but 20% chance he ends up back with the Buccaneers. And again, that's only on a 1-year deal. It's another one of those incentive-laden deals. I just don't see it happening. I really. But hey, Tom Brady, according to reports, Tom Brady's the one that's in his ear trying to get him back.
How much can the Buccaneers afford to pay Ndamukong Suh on a 1-year deal? Let's say they say, hey, Ndamukong, you just had twins. You got $1 billion in the bank because your boy Warren Buffett taught you how to invest it. We can only keep you for 1 year.
He had a $100 million contract. I know he didn't blow through all that money.
He invested it.
It all depends, really, Ray, because the Buccaneers are up against it right now. They need to open up some cap space. I don't know what they're going to be able to do to open that cap space up. And then what do they do? Is it 1 year? Is it 2 year? How many void years are they adding?
Well, see, that's it, right? And it's not because I'll defend avoidable years. I'll defend Jason Licht I'll ride or die with this guy. But at one point, do you say? And I've said this about Antonio Brown coming into wide receivers in 2020. At what point do you start to say we'd love to have Ndamukong, but we can't do a $5 to $6 $8 million option year hit in a year, 2, 3 years down the road to keep Ndamukong at a position that we can fill with depth. We still have Roches now. We still have Vita Vea. Let's go ahead and bring in a young guy.
They'll probably draft the guy pretty high in the draft.
Keep developing.
That's it.
In the first 3 rounds, they'll probably draft that.
Really quick, I don't know if you're a basketball fan, but are you excited about March Madness being back right now?
No, I had Ohio State advancing.
Oh,
man.
No longer excited.
Who'd they lose to again?
Oral Roberts.
Oral Roberts.
Yes.
I mean, that's what crazy 2020 COVID year was. 2021.
Yeah.
Yes. Usually you never lose with Oral, but this year you did.
That's okay. If you get that joke, great, and if you don't, then that's okay. It's not. Is it 10 p.m.?
Well, yes, I get it there, Joshua Cole. And a really quick update: the score. Florida State, good lead here, 45-35, so 10-point lead. But MJ Walker, their leading scorer, they're going out. Looks like he a sprained ankle. I grimaced because I saw it.
There goes their chances.
Well, I'm not. He could walk on it at least.
Oh no, he walked off. But I mean, of course, a lot of the brackets.
He's a guy that has the veteran leadership, can shoot the 3 from the outside. Good stuff, Joshua Cole. Go ahead and once again promote yourself here on Bucs Report on the Sports Web.
All right, got a few things to shout out there. If you guys are on Twitter, if you're not on Twitter, go make it Twitter. Bucs Report is in the Elite Eight right now, going up against Loose Cannons, our friends over there, Poppy Latte, Samurai Ali, and Stank Bastard. Make sure you go and vote for Bucs Report. Get us to that Final Four to go against Pewter Report. Show them why we are the best in the business out here with our live shows, with our online content, with our articles and everything that we do. Go out on Twitter and vote for Bucs Report. If you don't have one, make one, then delete it after you vote. I don't care what you do. Share it, retweet it. Make sure you go out and vote for Bucs Report on Twitter. Also, Locker Room app, guys. If you're not on that and you're an Apple user, get on to Locker Room app. Great conversations. There's multiple conversations going on right now about said March Madness, about the NBA, about the NFL. You can create your own rooms and talk about your own things. Invite whoever you want to come up and talk to that. There's been media personalities such as Jeff Darlington from ESPN, Mark Stein of the NBA, NBA players. I just spoke with Miles Turner the other day of the Indiana Pacers, Cliff Averill, Jarrell Worthy, and more are starting to pile onto this app. Make sure you guys get on there. The Locker Room app for iOS will be out on Android soon. And then you guys can follow me on Twitter at Joshua_C_Allen. Working on bringing back the Audible. I'll be back this Thursday or next Thursday.
Nice.
I'm going to have that back within the next 2 weeks, and I'm working on a really big guest to open up the show. So
yes,
I want to thank you for having me on.
Yes, absolutely, buddy. You've been hinting towards it, so we'll see if it happens here. But Joshua Cole Allen, JCA, thanks a lot, man, for coming on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. All right.
Always. Talk to you guys soon.
Josh, I'm really looking forward to that article tonight now on Bucs Report.
Yeah, we're definitely going to take a look at it and share it. All right.
Absolutely. Talk to you guys soon.
All right, there you go. Joshua Cole Allen, one of the hardest working writers here on Bucs Report. He's great with his insight. Again, open phone lines, 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Live from the Deck Bar and Grill in Isla del Sol. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, Best of the Bay Cup of Ray. What do you say? Let's go out to the webheads here, read these comments from these guys right now, and then we'll see where we go, because pretty much at this point, I'm looking to eat. I'm looking to watch the rest of March Madness.
Brother, let me tell you, let me just paint a picture if I can before we get to the comments.
Yes.
So while we were talking with Harry the Greek and talking with Joshua Cole Allen, just let me paint a picture for the people at home from the Deck Bar and Grill here at Isla del Sol. Beautiful weather. The windows are all open. The food is great. Drinks are great. We're right in front of the Isla del Sol golf course. And while we're interviewing them, I look through the little window in the back manager's office, back off the stage where we're set up here, and I see 5 men in tuxedos. They're doing a beautiful wedding over here at the Isla del Sol golf course. And we're right down on the turn of Tierra Verde. I mean, it is paradise. And where else would you want to come, have great food, good drink, continue to stay socially distanced, but be able to interact with people and do it responsibly than a place like the Deck Bar and Grill here at Isla del Sol? It's
I agree.
Fantastic out here.
Looking at the statistics for Florida State and UNC Greensboro right now, 0 for 8 3-point field goals for Florida State, which is highly it does not happen. Looks like MJ Walker has come back to the bench here. Looks like he's walking on his own power. So
yeah, he is. And just to confirm for you right now, as of this very second, Georgetown has lost officially to Colorado. Number 5, Colorado.
96-73. Your doors get blown off. So bad news for
Ewing,
Patrick
though.
Ewing.
I mean, he still looks the same as he did back when he was in the March Madness back in the 80s.
I never understood why he didn't get a chance in the NBA as a coach. I never understood that.
I don't know. I still think he does.
Well, I think he does eventually.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see about that Georgetown program, but it seems like they're on the come up again. 45-35, Florida State over UNC Greensboro. Missed free throw there, but rebound. So there you go, 45-36, Florida State over UNC Greensboro. Again, open phone line, 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. Again, Christopher Cole, I believe that is
CC.
True TV. That's what it's on there. Harry Berg says Kevin Mentor is an underrated player for this team. I mean, he's a backup guy, but is he underrated, underappreciated?
Well, every time he's been asked to step up, the guy stepped up and filled in. So 100%. I mean, he had the history with Bruce Arians. He had the history coming in here, and he's been solid when he's had to come in here. Yeah, but I've been able to rely on him every time.
Yeah. All right, let's go out to Russell Weeks. Sue is underrated. Sue doesn't get enough credit, Russell says, and also Bucs' whole defense is underrated. Don't necessarily think they're underrated. I think at the beginning of the season, we were talking about it. Were there a lot of national media talking about it? No. And then you saw through the season, the Bucs give up some yards, but at the end of the day, bend don't break. And then the postseason just at a different level. So I don't necessarily think they're underrated now. Were they at the beginning of the season? Absolutely. There were questions about that back end. But at the end of the day, Sue, in your opinion, is he underrated? And are we saying, you know what, maybe this guy should take $6 million? And he's saying, no, I'm a big part of this defense, so I'm going to get my $8 million. Is he underrated in your opinion?
No, but I think he might have a little bit of red backside. He's probably trying. I'm not saying I know this by any factor or fiction. I don't have any inside scoop on this, but he's probably looking at the $8 million, which really works out to be like 6.5 that Gronkowski got to be on the offensive side, and he probably trying to compare himself in about the same neighborhood. Because that's what I think with Gronkowski. It's his blocking as much as he's there for Tom and the catches he makes. And of course, he catches 2 Super Bowl touchdowns and goes up to the 14 scores overall to lead the NFL in the history in postseason scoring between him and Tom. But you're talking about, and Dominican's probably worth the same type of a deal to that defense as you have Gronkowski to the other side. And Sue's probably thinking, you're only going to offer me $6 million, and I think $6 million is a stretch for the Bucs to even make. But if it's $6 million and they can do avoidable, I hate to say that, but that's going to be a little bit tough. We are starting to run up against it with avoidable years.
Agree. Just watching this basketball game, it's pretty good. It's pretty good right now as UNC starts to go on a little run here. But are you surprised the Bucs kept Golston at his $6 million cap number? No, I'm not surprised because he stepped up and he's played well. That could be a guy that you would say is underappreciated for this defensive line because, look, he doesn't necessarily put up the sack numbers, but what he does in the style of defense, and once again, going back to the rushing defense being number one, getting some pressure, but mostly being responsible for his role, I think he's underappreciated. Agree with that?
100%.
Okay. So I think it's a surprise $6 million. Could he restructure eventually? I think they could look at that. I think they could look at plenty of players to restructure. Hicks is a true beast. Laugh out loud. Belichick would pay him. Russell says, I think we lose Sue. The D-line won't be quite the same. You think that? They lose Sue and the D-line takes a step back, in your opinion?
Nah, not if Vita Vea stays healthy.
See, that's where I said, too. You don't want to chance it.
No, I know you don't. You don't take anything for chance at this point.
You have a Vita Vea, you feel a lot better, and that's why I think Sue will come back.
Well, McClendon made it easier this year, and of course, I mean, you're looking at possibly getting another player that develops.
And I got him confused. It's not Willie McGinnis; it was Seymour. I think that's who they're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe it was McGinnis, and later on, that looks bad for the Texans too. Bucs time 12. Watson is not going to get traded now. Says Nacho. Russell says, wait till he gets to the NFL PR department when it looks bad on the Shield. Is when it's a problem. I think it's a way for the Texans to get out of paying Watson, or a way to say it's departmental. I guess that's what he's saying. Yes, Christian Barrymore. I love Christian Barrymore. I love the draft, a defensive tackle at Alabama. I do.
Oh, that would be not a dream pick, but that would be a healthy pick.
Do you think Nick Bolton or Azeez Al-Ajiri are good fits, and will they be available at 32? Both could be available, especially with Bolton. People were mentioning that because there was some talk of Levante David possibly going to the Cleveland Browns, so you slide him in there. Olajeri is a developmental guy, and a lot of these guys are developmental, so you necessarily would be a good fit because, again, if it's the best player on the board, you get some youth there. You have JPP who's getting up there in age, still playing at a high level, but you can develop that kid. I definitely think it would be a good role. Joe Tryon out of Washington is another name that's been mentioned, but none of these players that are coming from the outside necessarily are guys that are going to slide right in and start. Not that you need to, because you have a JPP and a Shaq Barrett. So whether you get a guy on the outside or a defensive tackle, the great thing about it is you can use them in rotation and develop them slowly, so eventually they can basically percolate, if you will. Leo Ward. Like that?
Like it.
Okay, good. Let's go out to Bud. After a 4-year contract with Shaq, do you think we still go edge in first round? Again, if you have an opportunity to get a developmental guy that you don't necessarily have to slide in there, why not? Because JPP is getting up there in age, right?
Yeah, and we've got guys. I don't want to take anything for granted. We got the middle locked up with Levante on a new deal and Devin White still on a rookie contract. Of course, always looking for that second contract. But what an importance on the defensive ends for this Buccaneers team. And not just any 3-4, any 4-3, any defense at all, is that pressure you get, and also able to contain the ends to make sure you don't get the quarterback outside the pocket and also stop the run. So if you want to keep developing those positions, I'm 100% in favor of it.
And I say,
the offensive line.
I'm reading this article from ESPN on the whole Russell Wilson, Chris Carson signing. This is interesting. Quarterback Russell Wilson worked hard in recent days to try to convince Carson to re-sign. So, look, if you're a guy, and right now UNC Greensboro making a run 49-44, Florida State, number 4 seed over 13 UNC Greensboro. If you're making that, if you're going out there and convincing a player to re-sign, they also traded for Gabe Jackson from the Raiders, that makes me believe that Russell Wilson doesn't want to go anywhere. He just wanted to basically rattle the cage, if you will, of the Seahawks and say, look, wake up. Do what you need to do to make this team better, because I also want to be in that Super Bowl conversation, much like a Tom Brady.
Well, and that's what Aaron Rodgers does in the NFC Championship postseason press conference, because of Jordan Love being drafted in the first round going into last season. And I just love – I like Pete Carroll as a coach. I hate that we've competed against him and lost a few we should have won, but I think Pete Carroll was calling Russell Wilson out on the carpet saying, look, we gave you this huge contract. We're still bringing in a DK Metcalf. We're still bringing in pieces of, again, I'll allude back again to the Legion of Boom. We don't have that, but we're still trying to put a team around you, and you're going to run your mouth. So Pete Carroll basically let Russell Wilson go out there, hang himself a little bit in the public eye with him and his beautiful wife, Sierra. And now he's coming back around to the fact that really he doesn't have the worst deal in the league, and it's a pretty darn good place to play, a good home field advantage.
Yeah, it's a good home field advantage, absolutely. So to me, until something happens, I think Russell Wilson is going to be a Seahawk quarterback. And look, if you're Seattle, why would you get rid of him unless you're looking to rebuild? Like you said, make some changes with your offensive line, which struggled last year. Keep your running back in the fold. Maybe get him an outside weapon in the draft. You already have DK Metcalf and Lockett, so it's not like the cupboard is bare at that point. You got to improve that defense, and that's where the difficulty becomes.
As soon as these quarterbacks go out and get these top of the league, like right now, Patrick Mahomes maybe definitely could get a great deal across the NFL because he's still such a young guy, and people have seen.
Question mark is the offensive line. Get rid of your 2 starting tackles there. Mike Remmers, to me,
they got
nothing to write home about.
Or if you're a Chiefs fan right now, you imagine we're over here in Tampa Bay, and
they got Joe Thurney as a guard, but
they've
a start.
Still got a good, and they got a great. And it's talk about skill positions and a defense. But let's go back to the Super Bowl 55. You're a Bucs fan versus the Chiefs fan. The grass looks a lot greener currently on the Tampa Bay side of the fence.
Absolutely. All right, so we read that, so let's go out to Bud, okay? And Han Solo says, I don't think they read YouTube comments. We read everybody's comments here, of course, on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Join the 69,000, nearly 70,000 following on Facebook, of course, live on Facebook, YouTube, yes.
Made the Kessel run in 9 parsecs.
What?
Wasn't that guy's name Han Solo?
It was Han Solo, yeah.
Yeah, that's the line from Star Wars. The Millennium Falcon made the Kessel run in 9 parsecs.
Well, there you go.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not 9.
I don't know. I haven't seen that movie enough
old school, baby.
Be,
this old brain works
sometimes.
Okay every now and then.
Yeah, it does.
You're going to get it after the show.
Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, final thoughts.
Just a great day. Again, I just when we talked about coming out here and doing a show here for March Madness, I'm like, number one, I'm into March Madness because what a phenomenal thing. First day of spring, as you said, year to the day that Tom finally puts ink to paper. We're down here. We're celebrating the fact that we're coming from a dark place. We made it through 2020, and we are Tampa Bay, and we're out here on a beautiful day. The sun, I'm glad we came inside. It never actually rained, but the light outside was playing games all day.
Yeah, playing tricks. Why take the chance at this point?
We own this stage here, and we love
do.
Cedric does a great thing. By the way, it's Act 3. They're not here tonight, but Saturday nights they have great concerts out here on the deck.
Latin night tonight.
Tonight's Latin night. They have 4 nights a week. They've got music here. The food is phenomenal. Hi, Poppy.
Hi, Poppy, exactly.
Jesus. And the food is phenomenal.
Right.
The drinks are great. And they open all the walls open up, and we're literally less than a quarter of a mile from the Don Cesar off the beach. We got all this beautiful saltwater sea air. If you're going to come out for March Madness today or anywhere as we get down to Sweet 16, the 8, the Final Four, and of course the championship game, come down and talk to the staff here at Deck Bar and Grill at Isla del Sol. Mention you saw it on the Bucs report, and maybe they'll give you something.
Yeah, again, let's keep on checking back and forth with Bucs Report for the latest articles. Of course, Joshua Cole Allen with his, Evan Winter, one of the newest additions here to the Bucs Report family, and all the great shows here. Rick Hughes, What's Cooking in the South, and from the Cheap Seats, which is coming on here, I believe Sunday. From the Cheap Seats, What's Cooking in the South, I believe is on Tuesdays. So
We got
and
Buck
then
What You Heard with Eugene Thomas on
Absolutely.
Thursdays. We've got, of course, we've got
Fridays too, isn't it? Fridays.
We got
Fridays.
Jacob Charno on Tuesday nights with Hardcast
nights,
Podcast.
and then the over under, of course,
Hard.
and then the sports web on Monday and Fridays. Now we'll
Cup
see.
of Ray on Sunday mornings.
There you go, right there. So all your shows, stay alert, because there may be some breaking news, and of course, if there is some breaking news, one of us, if not yours truly, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, will go live. So from the Deck Bar and Grill in Isla del Sol, for Best of the Bay, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, of course, Cup of Ray coming up tomorrow morning. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Do 3 things for me to end the Sports Web live from the Deck Bar and Grill on the Advanced Auto Parts edition of the Sports Web. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. Have a great weekend.